I'm a singer, I'm a drummer. Either of those two would do.
Welcome to the A to Z of Phil Collins.
I'll take it a check, but I prefer the cash.
The idea behind this podcast is to take a journey through the life and music of Phil Collins.
When I said yes to do the job, it was just to write the songs. But as I did the demos, they decided they couldn't see anybody else singing them.
We'll talk about events like Band Aid.
It was an ego-free day.
Pay tribute to friends like Eric Clapton and Robert Plant, and tackle subjects including reunions, gorillas, and the importance of a good drum fill. Stories, songs, memories, each one represented by a different letter from A to Z.
I always used to watch the Oscars, and you wonder what it's like to be up there, and then suddenly you get an opportunity.
And the winner is...
Everything I've done has been really a bit like jazz.
This is the A to Z of Phil Collins podcast.
With me, Phil Collins.
Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the A to Z of Phil Collins, with me, your host, Matt Everett, and more to the point, my guest, an actual point of this podcast, Mr. Phil Collins. In this podcast, we've been going through Phil's life and career so far, choosing different moments and songs and stories, starting with A all the way through to Z. This week, we're moving on to the letters M to O, where we discover Phil's unusual nickname, amongst other things, but we start with M, and an unlikely passion for more than a few rock stars, and a former passion of Phil's. M is for model railroads. What is it? What is it with musicians and like an O.O. Gage? Because there's you, there's Rod Stewart, there's Jules Holland, Springsteen, Neil Young, Frank Sinatra as well. Why is this? Why musicians and why model railways?
Well, I don't know either.
Is it something about because of the kind of lives that you all lead, this is a world you can control in a world of randoms?
Certainly,
maybe that's it.
Certainly that. The railroad itself didn't really interest me that much. I was more interested in the scenery and trying to build something that looked real, which again is probably something to do with the lifestyle. But Neil Young, unfortunately, he used to have a bigger gauge than O.O., and I think his place was wiped out in the fire last year. So I don't know if he still has it, but he loved that. He had a whole barn full of stuff. Me, I've packed all mine up.
No.
Yeah, I've packed all mine up. You get to a point where you start overcrowding it. And, the kids didn't want to come down and watch it. I'd say, come and see what I did today. And they'd come down and go, yeah. Okay. And so eventually I packed it up because I needed the room for the Alamo stuff. So it's sitting in boxes somewhere. I couldn't throw it out, but I've basically packed it up.
N is for Not Dead Yet, which is the title of Phil's autobiography. Because there's a lot of music biopics. It's Bohemian Rhapsody and the Elton John Rocket Man one.
Zeppelin thing.
Would you agree to a film being made of your life?
Well, my life hasn't got any of that decadence.
It's been
I can
quite
talk about, with, like the Zeppelin thing or the Elton thing or the Freddie thing.
It's a lot of drama, though. I mean, you've achieved quite a lot. Yeah, I think it's fair to say.
I don't know if people want to queue and see it. But anyway, I've not been asked, and I am not holding my breath, and I don't know if I'd, to be fourth or fifth in line in the same kind of thing. I don't know if that's a wise thing to do anyway. So the book I'd been thinking about for a long time, because Ray Coleman did a book which I was not aware at the time that he was dying of cancer. And when I got the treatment sent to me, I couldn't believe the amount of inaccuracies. And he'd spent a lot of time with me. And I said, I can't, I might as well write one rather than just sit there and correct someone else's. So I kind of washed my hands of it. Then it came out, then he died, and then I kind of understood. I'd written a book on the Alamo collection, which I really enjoyed doing. That was something I did while I was retired, and I really enjoyed doing that, and shaping and honing it, and when it was finished, I just kept on writing, and I started to put all these ideas down. Typing. I was getting involved in that whole process on a computer. And I did all the early sections. And then something happened and I just left it for a bit. And then a friend of mine, a journalist friend, said that, if ever I was thinking about doing a book, he'd like to help out. And so we picked up those bits and went on from there. And I thoroughly enjoyed the process, I have to say. Now it's finished, or it's been finished a couple of years. And now I'd like to do more, but I don't know what, Writing.
It's a really honest book. Could you feel people understanding more about you, changing their opinions, or like...
Well, I don't know. I just think if you're going to do an autobiography, you've got to be as honest as possible.
You think so? Lots of people don't.
Well, of course, there are still little areas of one's life that you as long as you have children that are under the age of so you keep them to yourself, I thoroughly enjoyed doing it, is all I can say. You're listening to the A to Z of Phil Collins with me, Phil Collins.
N. N is for nicknames.
I don't know if I had one. I had a nickname when I was a very young boy called Pip, because I think I looked like Pip in a movie, and I can't remember what movie it was.
What about in band? Did you have any?
P-Lip was one. Tony Stratton Smith used to call me. He was a good mate of mine, Tony Stratton Smith, and he used to call me P-Lip.
Oh. O is for one more night.
I've been trying for so long to let you know how I feel. And if I stumble, if I fall, just help me back so I can make you see. Please give me one more night. Give me one more night.
If I said now you could relive one night again, whatever one it was of your life, you could have that night again, what would it be?
Well, professionally, I would pick any night playing with Eric.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it always that good?
It was always that good. It was amazing fun to play drums behind him with Nathan East and Greg Fillinganes in the four-piece that we had in the, I don't know what year it was, 90s. We did quite a few shows, and it was just wonderful.
Maybe you're not alone. Please give me one more night. Give me just one more night.
O is also for odds, open brackets, against all, close brackets.
So take a look at me now. Well, there's just an empty space. And there's nothing left here to remind me. Just a memory of your face. Now take a look at me now. 'Cause there's just an empty space. But to wait for you is all I can do. And
That was the brilliant Against All Odds from 1984, which closes this episode of the podcast. Thank you for listening, and we hope you're enjoying this alphabetical journey through the life of Phil Collins. If you subscribe to the podcast, you can go back and listen to previous episodes, and you can get the next episode automatically, which hopefully you'll do. And if you do that, I shall see you next time. I've been Matt Everett. Thanks for listening. This has been a Cup and Nuzzle production.